Hello, everybody, and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad to see everyone here. I have a good one for you today, guys. So I didn't realize that the song, hold on, I have something else playing in the background. That was annoying. Um, the song "Smooth Criminal" was about a real crime. Did you guys know that? Let me know in the chat if you knew that already, or if I might just be the dumb one. Wouldn't surprise me. But I would be like bebopping along to that song when it would come on the radio and wouldn't even realize it was about gruesome, bloody, like gory murders. I had no idea at all. So somebody pointed that out to me. I think it might have been Kbot Video that pointed that out to me. She's in the chat from time to time. Not all the time, but every once in a while she's here. I know she's part of the replay gang, so she watches after the fact. So, hi, Kbot Video. How are you? Thanks for the video suggestion. I appreciate it. Yeah, Smooth Criminals about Richard Ramirez. Do you guys know who that is? Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Well, hello to Erica. Sparky's here. Christo, hello. Welcome. By the way, if you guys didn't catch night last night, Christo is awesome at all of these games that I end up picking. They're right there, the Stupid Deaths game and the Dumb Criminals game. Yeah, definitely check out game night next month when we have it. If you become a member, you get to play, by the way. So you can become a member here or over on Rumble. And it all works out the same. You will get an invite to the game night once a month. We do that once a month just because I have a real job that actually makes money to pay the mortgage and whatnot. So I have to concentrate on that most of the time. Let's bring my co-hosts up. And then I'll say hello to the rest of the chat. There they are. We have both of them here today. Zena, say hi. There she is. Ava, hi. I'm going to give them a treat to start out with. As you guys know, anybody who donates or supports the channel in any way while we're here live, we give both Ava and Zena a little mini milk bone. The little itty bitty ones. Aren't they adorable? I think so. We'll give them one to start out while we say hello to Society Red. And Winternet is here. Who else? Number 2, as always. Parson, good to see you, sir. Frank Leslie says, I lived in the San Gabriel Valley in SoCal during his reign of terror. Talking about Richard Ramirez. Remember making sure all of the doors were locked. I didn't ask for comment yet, ma'am. Did not ask for comment yet. I remember making sure all of the doors and windows were locked at night, reading the local newspaper. Evil guy. Yes, indeed. Evil, evil, evil. I see a little bit of a donation coming in from Erica. Thank you, Erica. We'll give them one more cookie, and then we're going to get right into it. Let's see if they can catch. They can never catch. We'll see. Ready? Oh, Xena got it. Extra points for Xena. Ready, Ava? That was a bad throw on my part. We're not going to blame her. Anyway. Jumping right into it. We should pull the notes up. I hope everyone's having a great Sunday. I know I am. So Richard Ramirez was infamously known as the Night Stalker. Why do they give these guys like fun names like that? Why do they do that? I don't understand what the media is doing. Like, why do that? So he was known as the Night Stalker. Cool name, dude. Evil dude, cool name, whatever. He unleashed a reign of terror across California in the mid-1980s. I write this stuff, right? I did have a little help from my friend Frida doing the research on this one, but I'm the one that writes the stuff, and I should write words that I can pronounce. Probably would be a good idea. Anyway, he murdered 13 people, multiple rapes, including child rapes, right? I want you guys to keep this stuff in mind because later we're going to go over hyperstophilia, which is like when crazy women, I guess men too, with female killers, like get crushes or like find killers sexy. This guy murdered 13 people at least, if not more, multiple rapes, including of children, and other violent crimes. His spree struck fear and paranoia into the hearts of Californians, making him one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. So I want to find out why Michael Jackson wrote a song about him. If you guys don't know, the Michael Jackson song "Smooth Criminal" was inspired by Richard Ramirez. And we know this because after Michael's death, his brother wrote a book, and Michael apparently, there's so many people, and I have some interviews pulled up with some of the surviving victims. There's so many people that survived these attacks or were knew somebody or their mother or their grandmother. In some cases, their child was killed by this guy. Or was attacked and survived. He had a lot of surviving victims too. That he did not want to, like Eddie Vedder did with the Jeremy song, he did not want to name a person and say, this is what this song is about. But it is a good song, in my opinion. I might put it on my road trip playlist. I have a road trip playlist that I keep adding to every time I hear a song. I'm like, oh, that should be on the road trip playlist because it's upbeat. It's, you can sing along to it, that sort of stuff. That's what I'm looking for in my road trip playlist song. Plus, I'm going on a road trip, so a couple, actually. We're going up to Knoxville for my niece's graduation from the University of Tennessee. Very proud of her. And then probably Tennessee again. We go to Tennessee a lot. We might move there. According to Michael Jackson's brother, Jermaine Jackson, his book, You Are Not Alone, his brother kept the true inspiration for the song Smooth Criminal hidden because he didn't want to offend anybody. It was the mid-1980s in America, in the throes of the satanic panic. Jermaine claims the song Smooth Criminal was inspired by real-life serial killer Richard Ramirez, perhaps better known as the Night Stalker, who was terrorizing California between April of 1984 and August of 1985. The song appeared on Michael Jackson's album Bad, which was released in 1987. But was recorded between January of 1985 and July of 1987, so the timeline certainly matches up. As for the actual refrain, Annie, are you okay? This was actually a reference to the CPR dummy that Michael Jackson kept in his studio. He was an odd bird, wasn't he, Michael Jackson? Can you believe I'm talking about Michael Jackson right now, and I'm not even talking about his crimes? We might do a whole episode on Never Neverland. Was that what he called that place? Yeah, where he did all the child raping and stuff. Yeah. This is not about Michael Jackson's crimes. This is about Richard Ramirez's crimes. Anyway, apparently he kept a CPR dummy. I think Ava just closed the door. That scared me. I'm talking about somebody coming in people's houses and murdering them, and I just heard a random door closed. My heart is beating so fast right now. Hello, everybody over on Rumble. 8 of you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You're over here, by the way, Rumble. YouTube's over here. Twitch and DLive and everybody else, you're over here too. So have you guys taken CPR classes? The doll where you do the, the chest compressions to the beat of Staying Alive and the breathing. They named her Annie, and the first thing you're supposed to do is say, Annie, are you okay? To see if the doll can breathe. Well, whoever you're trying to save, obviously. Rescue Annie is what they called that doll. And that's like the all over America, all of these CPR, Red Cross CPR training courses. I was a lifeguard when I was a teenager, so we had to do that course every 6 months or every year at least, probably every year. Because I grew up in Chicago and we weren't lifeguarding in the winter very much. Did you guys know I have a music department? I bet you did. You heard the opening number. That's my music department, and I did ask my music department to do a rendition of this song for me so you guys can hear the lyrics before we get into the story. And just keep these lyrics in mind as we go through all of these crimes. I'm going to list them out one after another. Bam, 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 bam. Crime, 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 crime. Then he gets caught, and then a bunch of women fall in love with him. That's the TLDR. Here's from the music department. My very good friend Steven recorded this for me, and just, because I've always got to be plugging my own show. Next Sunday at 4:30, Steven will be right here in-house, in studio, and we are doing the Leprechaun stream for the St. Patrick's Day. But here is Smooth Criminal, Stephen Baker's version of it.
As he came into the window, it was the sound of a crescendo. He came into her apartment, he left the bloodstains on the carpet. She ran underneath the table, he could see she wasn't able. So she ran into the bedroom, she was struck down, it was her doom. Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? There's a sign in the window that he struck you, a crescendo, Annie. He came into your apartment, he left the bloodstains on the carpet. Then you ran into the bedroom, you were struck down, it was your doom, Annie. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? You've been hit by, you've been struck by a smooth criminal. So they came into the outway. It was Sunday, what a black day. Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, sounding heartbeats, intimidation. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? Annie, are you okay? That he struck you a crescendo, Annie. He came into your apartment, he left the bloodstains on the carpet. And you ran into the bedroom, you were struck down, it was your doom, Annie. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? You've been hit by, you've been struck by a smooth criminal.
I like it better than the original, guys. I really do. I think he needs to add it to his rotation. I just put a poll in the chat. Let me know if you like the original or his version better. It kinda is campy the way he did, like, like, when I asked him to do it, I thought he was gonna play the piano and do it, but he did not. He did it on guitar, and I really like it a lot, which is why he's the music department. He knows what he's doing over there. I'm gonna keep that pulled up. We'll play it again later just because I like it so much. So, you know, and it's my show. I'll do what I want. All right. So the lyrics, I know we just heard them, but in case you couldn't hear them, um, let's put a picture of Richard up there while we're talking about him. As he came into the window, it was the sound of a crescendo. He came into her apartment. He left the bloodstains on the carpet. He ran underneath the table. He could see she was unable. So she ran into the bedroom. She was struck down. It was her doom. Goosebumps, guys. Freaking goosebumps. He came into your apartment. He left the bloodstains on the carpet. Then you ran into the bedroom. You were struck down. It was your doom. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? You've been hit by a smooth criminal. Yes. Really creepy. Really creepy when you know the story, which you don't know yet. Pretend you don't, even if you do, just to make me feel better. So brief criminal background. Richard Ramirez was born on February 29th, 1960. He was a leap year baby, apparently. He grew up in El Paso, Texas. He really looked up to his older cousin, Miguel, who went by the name Mike Vallis. And this is Mike. That's who I had up before. So we're going to show you Mike while we talk about Mike, because Mike is also a really, like, it runs in the family or something. I'm not sure. Right? Runs in the family. Mike was a Green Beret in the Vietnam War, which I understand, the Vietnam War and all war, by the way, but especially Vietnam, really messed with people's heads who were over there. They saw some really graphic and gruesome stuff, and it messed with them. But, however, most of those people didn't come back here and end up killing people. Also, Richard Ramirez wasn't even there. He just saw pictures. But okay, so Mike was a Green Beret in the Vietnam War. When Mike got home from the war, he told his younger cousin Richard graphic stories about killing the enemy. He had photos too. He had a Polaroid camera. Mike bragged about raping and pillaging the Vietnamese women, and told Richard that he killed several women over there after raping them. Richard showed before and after Polaroids of these women, the latter being naked, bloody, and bruised. Some of them may have even been dead. He said he killed them, but we don't know that. There's no open criminal investigation in Vietnam or anything like that. So this is just what Mike said, right? Keep in mind, when Richard was being shown these pictures of battered, bloody Vietnamese women that his cousin claims that he either beat up or killed or both, he was talking about having sex with them after they were dead. Really gruesome stuff. Richard was between 11 and 12 years old. So right at that time, when he's developing his, going through puberty and getting all of these feels for women and stuff, he's being shown literal smut. So it messed with him. Now, we talked about Aileen Wuornos a couple of weeks ago. This is nothing compared to Aileen Wuornos' childhood. Nothing at all. But I'm sensing a pattern. I'm noticing, guys. I'm noticing some stuff. All of these people, and when I say all, I mean 80% or more, because it's never all. They have these childhoods where traumatic stuff has happened to them. Now, before Mike got back from the war and started, showing his 12-year-old cousin smut, Richard had a stable upbringing. He had a mom and a dad. His parents came from Mexico, and his dad was a police officer in Mexico, so very strict. He would discipline him when he got into trouble. He may have went a little too hard at disciplining him. There's a story that I don't know if it's true or not. It's just a story that I heard where Richard got in trouble for doing whatever. And as punishment, his dad chained him to a tree in a cemetery overnight. So that may have messed with his mind a little bit too. So very, very strict upbringing. Catholic upbringing. When Richard was 13 years old, he was hanging out at cousin Mike's house. He really looked up to this guy too. His dad was a strict disciplinarian, and his cousin Mike was older, and he let him, get away with stuff that would never fly at his own house. So he'd hang out at Mike's house a lot. So he's hanging out at Mike's house, and Mike and his wife, and keep in mind, Mike and his wife have kids there too. So they have kids. So there's little kids. There's Richard, who's 13, and then Mike and his wife. Mike and his wife start arguing because Mike was not getting a job and helping support the family since he got back from Vietnam. I get it. I get both sides of this argument. Because the horrors that I'm sure he experienced and apparently did, according to him, in Vietnam, he needed to decompress. And back then, the military was not taking care of their veterans like they have programs today that get them the mental help for PTSD and stuff like that. So he's just dealing with all of this stuff he went through on his own. So getting a 9-to-5 job is probably not at the top of his priority list. However, his wife, who's got small children who are hungry every day, you have to feed those kids every day. It never ends. So she's getting frustrated. He's frustrated because he's going through some stuff that he doesn't know how to express to her because she wasn't there, right? Anyway, he ends up pulling out a gun and shooting her in the face in front of the kids and his cousin Richard. Blood splatters on Richard. That's how close he was to this happening. They're sitting in the kitchen and he just pulls out a gun, kills his wife, shoots her in the face. He ended up going to prison for that, but he had a very lenient sentence because of his PTSD and all that. So that's this guy on the screen here. This is his mugshot from him killing his wife. Like I said, they all have messed up childhoods, right? It looks like 62% of you like Steven's version better. I kind of agree. The music video for the original version, though, just a little off topic from wife murdering. The music video for Smooth Criminal is like, it could win an Oscar. It was like a movie. There was a storyline. It didn't have anything to do with the lyrics, by the way. the video did not. But that's where Michael Jackson did that infamous anti-gravity lean the first time, was in that music video. I remember winning all those like MTV Music Video Awards and stuff. It was a good video. I do like the acoustic version that Steven did better, personally. All right. Some people think, these are just random people on the internet's opinion, that the exposure to violence at this developmental age was what created the monster who terrorized California in the 1980s, and also inspired Michael Jackson to write the song Smooth Criminal. You have to keep in mind, there was the person, I forget their name, in the chat earlier, Frank. Not our Frank, a different Frank. But if you're still here, Frank Leslie, hit the subscribe button. Hang out a while. We have fun. We have fun over here. Every Sunday at 4:30, we're here, in addition to other times that aren't scheduled that just pop up sometimes. But my schedule is Sunday 4:30. So come back every week. Hang out. We have a good group of people in the chat. I promise. So like he was saying, Frank was saying in the chat earlier that in the mid 80s in California, this was happening so often towards the end of it that people were really terrorized. When they say a terrorist, he was terrorizing people. People were scared to leave their house. It's like when we talked about the DC sniper case where people didn't want to pump their gas because they were afraid of getting shot. Same situation. People did not want to close their eyes and go to sleep because somebody was breaking into houses, going into their apartments and leaving bloodstains on the carpet. I don't know why my alarm just went off. I apparently had something to do right before 5 o'clock the other day. Hello, Kfar. We're talking about Richard Ramirez and the song Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson, which is what this song is based on. So after the murder, Richard began, after his sister-in-law or cousin-in-laws, I guess, blood was splattered all over his face and witnessed this murder that his cousin committed. He began skipping school and dabbling in drugs. He dropped out of high school in the 9th grade. His criminal record began in 1977. He was placed in a juvenile detention center for a string of petty crimes, property damage, smoking pot, possession of marijuana, little stuff like that. He doesn't get into the hard stuff till he gets to California. He's still in El Paso. He also received a probationary sentence in 1982 for marijuana possession. He moved to San Francisco and then to LA. And progressing from the marijuana use, they say it's a gateway drug. I don't believe that, but in this case, maybe it was. It progressed into a cocaine addiction and acid. He was taking acid a lot as well. Just really making him crazy. So if the literal smut at the age of 12 didn't make him crazy, the acid, and probably on acid, tripping on acid, thinking about those pictures that his murderous cousin was showing him, probably drove him a little nuts as well. Ramirez initiated his rampage in 1984 with crimes spanning across Los Angeles, San Francisco. His modus operandi involved breaking into homes at night, where he subjected his victims to unspeakable acts of violence and depravity. And so it begins on April 10th, 1984. Ramirez murdered Mi Ling, a 9-year-old Chinese-American girl, in the basement of his apartment building. There she is. 9 years old. So this is in San Francisco. Ling was with her 8-year-old brother and looking for a lost $1 bill when Ramirez approached the girl and told her to follow him into the basement to find it. Like, hey kid, what are you looking for? I think I saw it down in the basement. Come with me. So creepy. Once they were in the basement, Ramirez beat, strangled, and raped Liang before stabbing her to death with a switchblade and then hanging her partially nude body from a pipe by her blouse. So not only, this is his first murder, not his first crime, but his first murder, and he is making a statement with this. He didn't just kill her, he put her on display to terrorize everyone else. The killing was not linked to Ramirez until 2009, when his DNA was matched to a sample obtained at the crime scene in 2016. Officials disclosed evidence of a second suspect identified through DNA, a DNA sample retrieved from the scene, who is believed to have been present at Liang's murder. Authorities have not publicly identified the suspect, described as being a juvenile at the time, and have not been brought up on charges due to lack of evidence. Okay, so that's San Francisco, the first time he's in San Francisco. Now he goes to LA after this murder. He gets out of Dodge and he goes to LA. No, I have the right thing pulled up. Let's see. Hold, please. Okay. It's me. It's not you. It's me. I messed up my notes. This is June 28th, 1984. Jenny Vincow, age 79, was brutally murdered in her apartment in Glassell Park, Los Angeles. There was a heat wave going on at the time in Los Angeles, and Jenny had left her windows open trying to combat the heat. There's a gnat in here, and it's trying to get in my face. Sorry. That was crazy. I'm going to start over on that one. Okay, Jenny Vasco, age 79, was brutally murdered in her apartment in Glassell Park, Los Angeles. There was a heat wave going on at the time, and Jenny had left her window open to try to combat the heat. Ramirez removed the screen and climbed in the living room window, sexually assaulted her, and then fatally stabbed her multiple times and slit her throat. Does that sound like the lyrics to the song? It sounds like the lyrics to the song to me. In this apartment, her son lived in the apartment just upstairs from her, and he came downstairs the next morning to say good morning to Mom and found her body sprawled on the bed. She had nearly been decapitated. That's how much he slit her throat. Ramirez ransacked her apartment, stole anything of value. In this crime scene, police were able to recover fingerprints from the window. So all these little breadcrumbs he's leaving behind are going to add up, and we're going to get him, guys. I promise we're going to get him. Dale Ozosky, age 34, and Angela Barrios, age 20, in Roseman, California. This one's crazy. I don't know if I want to say I have a favorite one, but because one of these women survives, it's so descriptive of what happened, so you get a complete picture of his MO. So even though the other victims can't tell their story, we know exactly what happened in this case because one of the victims survived, right? So you can get an idea what was happening at these other homes. Around 11 p.m., Angela got home. She pushed the little button on the garage remote to open the door. She pulls her car into the garage, and someone, as she's getting out of her car, runs up behind her, puts a gun in her face. Angela begs for her life, but Ramirez lifted the gun up to Angela's face and pulled the trigger. She dropped in a heap where she stood. Ramirez stepped over her body and entered the house, where her roommate, Dale, was already home. Angela had instinctively raised her hands to cover her face as Ramirez pulled the trigger. And I got keys here somewhere. All right. So we're going to do a demonstration. She's getting out of her car. She's got her keys, right? Ramirez pulls up a gun and she goes like this to block it. The bullet hit the keys, guys. The bullet hit the keys. She was not shot in the head. He thought he had shot her in the face. He did not. It ricocheted. It did get her hand. Her hand was a mess, right? Her hand was a mess, but she collapsed down. Like, I assume the adrenaline and the pain and stuff, she just collapsed right where she was, and she laid perfectly still until he stepped over her, kicks her on the way by the way, and then goes into the house, and she realizes, she's like, "Oh, wait, I'm not dead. My hand is messed up, but I'm not dead." So she tries to get away, and she decides the only place to go is around to the front of the house, because she's thinking, well, he's going to come out the way he came in, right? He's gonna come out that same way. So she goes around to the front of the house and, like, the little space in between the front stoop and the bushes, she, like, crouches down in there because she's thinking he's gonna go out the garage and go the other direction from where he came. While she's hiding there, waiting for him to leave so she can go call the cops, she hears a gunshot. We all know. We all know what happened here. She hears a gunshot, and what happened on the inside of the house was that Dale, her roommate, she was in the kitchen putting groceries away, and she heard a commotion out in the garage, and she ducked down behind the counter. Now, the way this living room was set up is, or the way the house was, when you came in from the garage, the counter was there, and then it was like a normal, apartment setup. Sorry, I'm hearing crackling in my headphones, and I don't know what it is. It's the music. We're not having music today. I'm gonna get through this part, I promise. So he comes in and the counter's there. She ducks down behind it and she's got her hands up here like this. Well, he sees her hands, so he stops and he waits, just very still in the dark, in the silence. She's down behind the counter like this. She thinks, okay, it's been quiet for a long time now, right? So she puts her head up to see, just to peek over the counter, and he shoots her in the head. He was just sitting there trained with his gun pointed at that spot in between her two little hands until she put her head up. That's the gunshot that Angela heard out on the front stoop. Now, to Angela's dismay, she hears the front door open. She's thinking he's gonna do whatever he's gonna do. So after a few minutes, he also ransacks their apartment, takes anything of value. He's robbing these people too, by the way. He goes out the front door and they lock eyes. They look at each other and she says, "Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me." And to her surprise, he put the gun in his waistband and calmly walked away. She goes into the apartment and she sees her roommate, Dale, her body's in a heap on the floor, just like Angela was minutes earlier on the garage floor. But this time there was no keys to protect Dale. I need to have music on in the background because I take long pauses, man. We'll see if this track is better. I try to just stop talking and saying, instead of saying, it's very difficult to do. I still say, an awful lot, as you guys know. What they find at this crime scene is Richard Ramirez's hat, and I believe it was his ACD. He was not famous, he was infamous. He wore an AC/DC hat. It was his favorite band, and I believe that's the hat that was found in this garage. Now, side note, just a little fun fact, interesting thing. The officer who responded to this scene is, I saw this in documentary that I watched about this. I do several months of research, by the way, to do these episodes. But so this documentary that I watched was interviewing the responding officer. And he's in there taking pictures. Oh, he wasn't taking pictures, but he was directing the photographer, take a picture of this, take a picture of that. And he hears from outside the garage in the alley, "Gilbert?" And he's like, "Who's Gilbert? My name's Gil. I haven't gone by Gilbert since I was a kid." Turns out he grew up a few doors down from the mother of the surviving victim in this case, Angela, who, for some miracle reason, it was not killed. The keys blocked the bullet. Gil, the detective on this case, grew up a few doors down from her mom, and they used to play together as kids, which I thought was a crazy coincidence. And also is interesting because he really needed to solve this crime now. Like, he had a personal connection. Him and his partner were the lead detectives on this case. And when you have a personal connection to it like that, you really want to get it solved. I see 2 donations, both for Major Victory, one of which, oh no, I thought I had Rumble up over here, but I have YouTube up in two places. So just one. But I'm going to give Xena a treat from Major Victory. And don't forget, each and every one of you who donates gets a entry into the drawing. By the way, if you come on the show or you call in or anything like that, you get an entry into the drawing as well. So everybody who was here last night will get an entry. Here you go. That's for Major Victory. Let's do a shake. Do a shake. That's a good girl. Okay. Thank you, Major Victory. I appreciate you supporting my dream of quitting my job someday. I probably never will. I just do this for fun. But a girl can dream, right? A girl can dream. What really helps me out, though, is if you share, if you see something you like, if you share, if you tell people who also like true crime about my channel, that really helps. Moving along. We're in Monterey Park now. So that same night, so he leaves from this crime scene, doesn't kill Angela, thank God. That same night in Monterey Park, he drives down the road to Monterey Park and fatally shoots Sing Ling Yu, age 30. She was found in a yellow Chevrolet with its motor running. It was the transmission was in reverse, but there was a parked car behind it, so it didn't go anywhere. It was just there in reverse. A week later, approximately 2 a.m. on March 27th, 1985, Ramirez entered a home that he had burglarized a year earlier, just outside of Whittier, and killed a 64-year-old Vincent Charles Zazara in his sleep with a gunshot to the head. Zazara's wife, 44-year-old Maxine Zazara, was awakened by the gunshot, obviously. I think a gunshot would wake me up, right? Ramirez beat her up, bound her hands while demanding to know where the valuables are. There's the Zazaras. And this is the street that they lived on. Well, he ransacked the room. Maxine escaped her bonds, retrieved a shotgun from under the bed. She thought it was loaded. It was not. So she pulled the trigger. It all could have ended right here if she would have just kept the gun loaded. What's the point of having it if it's not loaded, is what I'm saying. What's the point? Obviously, this infuriated Richard Ramirez, and he shot her 3 times with his handgun, killing her. Then he fetched a large carving knife from the kitchen. He mutilated her body by cutting an inverted cross onto her chest, so an upside-down cross. He removed her eyes and placed them into her jewelry box. He attempted to have sex with her body, but he could not perform. He took the jewelry box containing her eyes and kept it in his apartment as a souvenir until his arrest. So he still had her eyeballs until he got arrested. Ramirez left footprints. This is the important part of this crime scene. So Richard Ramirez left footprints from a pair of Avia sneakers in the flower beds, which the police photographed and then did like a plaster cast of. The bullets at this scene were matched to those found at previous attacks, and the police determined that it was a serial killer because like all of the stuff is lining up, it's matching up. On May 14th, 1985, Ramirez returned to Monterey Park and entered the home of 66-year-old Bill Doy and his disabled wife, 56-year-old Lillian Doy. Let's see if we have a picture of, yeah. No, I think this is the sisters. I think we're still in Monterey Park. Surprising Doy in his bedroom, Ramirez shot him in the face with a .22 semi-automatic. Doy went for his own handgun. After beating the wounded man unconscious. Ramirez entered Lillian's bedroom, bound her with thumb cuffs. Did you guys know thumb cuffs were a thing? I did not. And then raped her as he ransacked the house and looked for valuables. Again, he's robbing these people. He's eating their food out of the refrigerator. He's like hanging out in their houses after he kills them for a while. Lillian survived this attack. She just laid there and played dead and ended up surviving. Thank goodness. On May 29th, 1985, in Monrovia, California, Mabel, who went by the nickname Ma Bell, age 83, and her disabled sister, that's this next slide I have, her disabled sister, 81-year-old Florence Lang, she went by the nickname Nettie. Ramirez bound, then bludgeoned them both with a hammer he got from the kitchen. He beat them so much with this hammer that the handle broke on the hammer. These two elderly 83 and 81-year-old women. He then used an electrical cord to shock the women. So he cut the electrical cord off of the alarm clock, cut the alarm clock part off and tortured them with that. After raping the disabled sister, he used her lipstick to draw a pentagram on the wall above the bed. You can see that here. Now, meanwhile, I told you guys about that cast of the shoe print. What the police figured out at this point, because they're researching all of these, or they're looking into it as they're happening, but they figured out that this brand of shoe, it's pretty new. What did I say they were? I was about to say Asics, but they're Avias. Okay, so they figured out it was a size 11 and a half, and they also figured out that there were only 9 pairs of these shoes shipped to the United States ever. They were brand new. Also, they figured out that of the 9 pairs of shoes that were shipped to the United States, only one of them went to the Los Angeles area. We're making progress, boys. We're making progress. We're figuring stuff out. I thought that was amazing. This is not what ends up catching him, by the way, but it could have, right? It totally could have. 9 pairs in total. Who's got their how to get away with crime notebook? Make sure you're wearing shoes that are very popular, and there's not only 9 pairs in all of the United States. Write that down. May 30th, 1985, in Burbank, California, Ramirez entered the home of 42-year-old Carol Kyle at gunpoint. He bound Kyle and her 11-year-old son with handcuffs. This is one of the children that he ended up raping, by the way. This little boy. He handcuffed, before ransacking the house, he released Kyle to direct him, I keep thinking Kyle's the 11-year-old's name. It's not. Kyle is their last name. He released Carol to direct him where the family's valuables are, and then he raped her repeatedly. Ramirez also repeatedly ordered her not to look at him, telling her at one point that he would cut her eyes out, which we know he's capable of, right? He fled the scene after retrieving the child from the closet. He also sexually assaulted the child, and then he tied the two of them together with the handcuffs, and he left. He did not kill them. Yeah, this guy is unbelievably evil. Unbelievably evil is correct. Richard Ramirez kidnapped then. This is June 27th, 1985. He apparently got a taste of the kitties and decided to keep going for that, which is kind of interesting that Michael Jackson then wrote a song about this because we all know what happened there, right? He kidnapped a 6-year-old little girl from her bed in the middle of the night. So he did the same MO where he's cutting the screen, he's breaking into people's apartments. Keep in mind, we have this heat wave going on in California in the mid 1980s. In 1985, it's 100 degrees there, so people are sleeping with their windows open. I used to sleep with my windows open. We did not have air conditioning when I was growing up. I thought people in California did, but maybe not. Like it was either you died of heat exhaustion or had a heat stroke, or you opened the windows at night and put the fans on. That was our situation. He kidnaps this 6-year-old girl. He takes her to his apartment where he repeatedly raped her before driving her back near where he kidnapped her. He dropped her off on a street corner across the street from a gas station and said, go in the gas station and tell the guy in there to call the police and get you back to your family. So he did not kill this little girl. He just ruined the rest of her life, July 2nd, 1985. Ramirez drives the stolen car that he was in to Arcadia, California, to Mary Louise Cannon's home. He knocks her out with a lamp, stabs her with a knife from her own kitchen, and she's found dead the next day when her family goes to pick her up for a party. They go to pick up grandma for the party, and she's just dead in her house. July 5th, so the 3 days later, Ramirez heads to Sierra Madre in California, where he attacks Whitney Bennett, age 16, with a tire iron as she sleeps. He tries to strangle her with a telephone cord, but the cord sparks and Bennett begins to breathe. Ramirez flees, believing Jesus saved her. Bennett survives the attack. This next one, I'm going to play the song one more time because I need to stop talking for a minute and I see new people here. So my music department did do a cover of this song for me. Now that you've heard some of the cases, I want you to listen to the lyrics really hard again. And then I do have a poll in the chat. Which version do you like better, this version or the original?
As he came into the window, it was the sound of a crescendo. He came into her apartment, he left the bloodstains on the carpet. She ran underneath the table, you could see she wasn't able. So she ran into the bedroom, she was struck down, it was her doom. Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? There's a sign in the window that he struck you, a crescendo, Annie. He came into your apartment, he left the bloodstains on the carpet. Then you ran into the bedroom, you were struck down, it was your doom, Annie. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? You've been struck by a smooth criminal. hesitation, sounding heartbeats, intimidation. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? There's a sign in the window that he struck you a crescendo, Annie. He came into your apartment, you left the bloodstains on the carpet. And you went into the bedroom, you were struck down, it was your doom, Annie. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? You've been struck by a smooth criminal.
All right, so vote. Vote if you didn't vote in the poll. I'm going to let Stephen know what the results are after the show. I needed to do a wardrobe change because it was very hot in here under these lights, and I had a very thick, nice, cozy, overruled sweatshirt on, but it was a little too warm for this situation, so I had to do a little costume change. Okay, so this next story, I needed a break before I tell this one because when I heard this, I was torn. And I know I have some very good Christians in the chat, and I want to know your opinion on what you would do in this situation. So, Ramirez breaks into Joyce Lucille Nelson's Monterey Park home. He burglarizes her home. He beats her to death, leaving a shoe print on her face. Then, this is all the same night, he enters Sophie Dickman's home. He handcuffs her at gunpoint. He tries to rape her. He can't perform again. He steals her jewelry. And he tells her, he's asking where's the valuable stuff. And she says, I swear to God, that's all I have. Everything I have, I swear to God, is in that jewelry box right there. And he tells her, with a gun pointed at her head, to swear to Satan. And she hesitates, but she does it. She swears on Satan that that's where the valuables are. I don't know what I would do in that situation. I know the answer is that you should just do whatever the bad guy is telling you to do to survive, but I can see why she hesitated, right? What do you guys think? Am I overthinking this? Am I thinking about it too much? I just don't think I could swear to Satan on anything, you know? I But I have never been, I mean, I have been in life and death situations, but not one where somebody's asking me to swear to Satan, right? I don't know what I would do. It's a tough choice. Okay, July 20th, 1985 in Glendale. This is Glendale and Sun Valley. Ramirez buys a machete and drives a different stolen vehicle to Glendale, California. He enters Layla and Maxon Nealing's home. He kills them both with a machete and gun and burglarizes her home. He then drives to Sun Valley and breaks into the Kovanath home. He fatally shoots Changrong Kovanath. He rapes and beats some kid Kovanath, binds their 8-year-old son, forces some kind to point out the valuables in the home. He also forces her to swear to Satan that she isn't hiding any money. She also does it. I don't know. Yeah, Major Victory says declare God's name or die. I guess I'll die. One of these crimes that he had killed the husband already, so the wife is next to her husband's dead body, and he's telling her to to hail Satan as he's pointing a gun at her head. I don't know if the adrenaline would just take over and I just do like it's hard to say. It's just really hard to say. I know that I would have to go to confession after that. Like I I don't know if I'd die that night just for not I just really it's evil. What this guy it's like it's just evil. It's pure evil, right? Ramirez breaks into this is August 6th, by the way. Sorry, we moved on to August 6th, 1985. Notice how these are getting closer and closer together. It was like every couple of months, and then it was every couple of weeks. Now we're like bam, 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 bam. Ramirez breaks into Chris and Virginia Peterson's home. He shoots Virginia, she goes by Ginny, by the way, in the face, and then shoots Chris in the neck and tries to flee the scene. Chris fights back, but Ramirez manages to escape. The couple survives. Jenny did a little segment on Maury, so we're going to watch this real quick. She's a strong woman, man. Strong, strong.
We're talking with Rose Stewart. She survived a vicious attack by a serial killer, and she just told us her story. But we didn't get the finale of it. Rose, what did your attacker get for a term?
For me, he got 56 years, and he's now on death row for the murders.
For the other murders. Our next guest is one of the only survivors of the notorious Night Stalker killing spree in which Richard Ramirez brutally murdered 13 people in their beds in Southern California. Ginny Peterson was nearly one of them. Somehow, she survived. You're in your bedroom, all of a sudden there's a guy, and it's the Night Stalker.
At that time, we were unaware that there was someone out
Like,
there.
I thought I had trouble sleeping after watching Nightmare on Elm Street. I couldn't imagine living through this and then getting a good night's sleep ever. And keep in mind, this is before, like now, we have security cameras, we have motion sensors, we have like if somebody, I have Pitbull, obviously. Um, there she is. So I have my security defense system right here sleeping next to me, you know? But back then, there wasn't the cameras. Like, not only do I have Xena who will wake me up if somebody comes in my house, and Ava, who's went back downstairs, but, we have cameras, so we would see who they were, and it's just I couldn't imagine being in this person's shoes and Jenny Peterson's shoes, and, um, getting a good night's sleep after this.
They're on a killing spree. No
You and your
notification.
husband.
My husband and myself. There had been no formal notification that someone was out there killing at random.
And what did he do to you?
He entered the bedroom. We argued briefly. He leaned over and shot me through the face. When I fell back onto the bed, my husband sat up. He then shot my husband in the side of the head. We both fell back on the bed, and we had a bit of a conversation between each other. We thought perhaps it was someone playing a sick joke. We couldn't believe the magnitude of what was happening to us. Then we became aware that he was standing there laughing. Later on in testimony, he would tell people from his jail cell that he liked to watch people wiggle like little worms before they expired after he'd shot them. I was very fortunate in that my husband found the strength and the courage to jump up and chase him out of the house. Meanwhile, still dodging 2 additional bullets.
Even though he had been shot in the head, you
Yes.
were shot in the face.
Yes.
You pass out?
No, neither one of us at any time lost consciousness.
Later on, you helped, I assume, and
I imagine the adrenaline in a situation like that is what helped them keep consciousness. I don't know. I'm not an expert on really anything, but I would think that the pure adrenaline and your heart beating that fast is what's keeping you going in that sort of situation. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat.
the arrest of Richard Ramirez.
He was not arrested for 3 more weeks. He was still on the loose. We did go to a lineup several days after his capture, which was on September 1st. And then we were part of the process of the
No
court
problem
proceedings.
IDing him, huh?
For myself, no, there was none whatsoever. I will never, ever forget that face.
I talked to Richard Ramirez a few months ago, believe it or not, about another show. And it was an exclusive interview we did in August from death row in California. And everyone should see what this guy is like and how he treats humanity and the human condition.
I think most humans have in them the...
Do you remember when Maury used to be like an actual journalist? Like he used to do actual, like this is actual journalism. Now he does like paternity tests and lie detector tests and stuff. But I really enjoyed this type of programming like that he used to do when I was a kid.
capacity to commit murder. It is not because...
No, we don't, Richard.
They choose not to, not because they are morally superior, as they so commonly claim, but because they are imprisoned in a web of responsibilities, commitments, beliefs, and sentiments.
Richard.
And that would render murder an absurd gamble or ridiculous self-destruction.
What do you think of somebody like that? He's the Richard Ramirez who you testified against?
I feel nothing but scorn, disgust, and pity for him.
I don't know if I would even feel pity for him.
I do. For someone to be that sick, to be that evil. He was right in that we all have choices. He chose his path. He chose the death penalty every time he killed someone. I didn't make that choice for him through my testimony. Neither did anyone else. Just as Rose and myself and my husband Chris, we have chosen to be survivors, as thousands of other people out there have. He chose the path that he has taken.
We have lots of questions for you, but as we leave...
I can see her point of feeling sorry for him. I feel sorry for him because he's burning in hell right now. And there's really nothing he could do about that. He was a devil worshiper, and he tried to force other people to worship the devil. So you can feel empathy for somebody who is evil because they are evil, in my opinion.
Answer me this. Shot in the face. It's amazing that there was not more damage done.
The damage that is done is not always apparent to everyone. Both my husband and I have a great deal of neurological problems. You don't notice it. I notice that I lisp. I have vision problems. My husband has tinnitus. The left side of his body is damaged, my right side. But we say that together we make a whole person, just as we always have through our marriage.
We'll be back after this.
And I do love the way these women are sticking, you know, they're together. They're both victims of Richard Ramirez, and they're together. They have a support group, and I think you need something like that when something so horrible happens to you.
Hi, I wanted to address this question to the both of you. I wanted to know how he broke into your home, and how safe do you feel now, and how can you protect yourself and your family?
What about that, Jenny?
He apparently walked in through an open door, because I didn't think this would ever happen to me, like most women, and I'm now armed and dangerous, and no one's going to do that to me again.
Any nightmares?
Yes,
I imagine.
but not always about him. They can take the form of any type of trouble that your imagination can come up with.
How did your families deal with what you went through, both of you?
I think that when you're attacked this way, the whole family is attacked, because it blows everyone away, and it's just so close to home, and death is so near. It's very difficult, but I think our family's much closer now as a result of this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, what went through your mind? Like, how did you calm yourself down to rational thought so you could...
A bullet went through her mind.
escape from him?
Especially when
That
he
was a
went in
bad
and out
joke.
of
I'm
consciousness.
sorry.
Exactly.
Well, early on, I just realized that if I was panicking and hyperventilating and shaking violently, and I realized that if I didn't pull myself together and calm down and deal with the situation, that I didn't have a chance in
Ginny,
the world.
what was going through your mind?
While the attack was occurring, I knew that I had to distance myself. It sounds strange, but it was as if one part of me was in the attack and another part was standing back saying, look at his shoes, look at his pants, look at his face, commit it to memory.
Smart girl.
Because I knew that if I didn't do that, that my family, I had a small child down the hallway, that none of us had a chance.
That is so smart of her. Like, you need to make the attacker think you're not looking at them, but you need to start committing to memory. Just committing to memory the shoes, the look, any little detail. That case that we covered out of Florida, and I wish I could remember her name, but it was a young girl who was kidnapped, and she counted the steps up to the apartment because she was blindfolded. She saw underneath the blindfold that it was green carpet in the middle with wood on the edges, like all of these little details she committed to memory. And that's the same thing Ginny did here. And that's amazing. If you ever find yourself in that sort of situation, try to remember as much as possible and keep repeating it to yourself in your head because you don't know how long it's going to be. And I know personally, I have a horrible memory, probably because I did too many drugs in my youth, but I have a horrible memory. So I have to repeat stuff over and over and over again to repeat it to memory. Do that.
For both of you, when you're walking down the street, is it hard to trust people again? Is it hard? I mean,
Ginny?
No, because if I allow him to victimize me, it's very much what Rose says. We are survivors. If we allow him to victimize us, then we are as much in a prison as he is. And I refuse to be that.
Who is this, Ginny?
That's my hero. That's my husband, Chris.
I want to thank you.
Did Maury just say congratulations to it? Sounded like you said congratulations. Like on what? Congratulations on being alive, sir. Congratulations.
Rose for joining us, not only Chris and Ginny, but thank you so much, Rose. The stories are so compelling, and your strength and courage have made it inspirational, I think, for all of us. I thank you very much. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time.
Thanks, Maury. Should probably get back to doing real journalism again because he's actually kind of good at it. Like he's good at journalism. He should do that for sure. Let's get the notes back up. And okay, so that was when Ginny and Chris were attacked. It was August 6th. Turn that down a little bit. That was August 6th. Now we're moving on to August 8th, 1985. We're still in 1985. These are bam, 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 back to back. Ramirez attacks the Abawath family. Ramirez breaks into Sakina and Elias Abawath's home. He fatally shoots Elias, who's sleeping. Then he handcuffs, beats, and rapes Sakina while demanding their jewelry. He ties up their 3-year-old son. This son, the 3-year-old was not assaulted, just tied up. Thank God. August 18th, 1985, Ramirez attacks in the Bay Area. So we're going back to San Francisco now. We started in San Francisco. We're back in San Francisco. He goes back to the San Francisco area. Ramirez left Los Angeles for San Francisco Bay. He breaks into Peter and Barbara Pan's home. He shoots Peter Pan in the head, and then he beats and rapes Barbara Pan before fatally shooting her. He uses her lipstick to draw a pentagram and write the words "Jack the Knife" on a bedroom wall. When it's discovered that the ballistics and shoe print evidence from Los Angeles crime scenes matched the Pan crime scene in San Francisco, then Mayor Dianne Feinstein divulged the information, including the gun caliber, in a televised press conference. the Los Angeles cops, the one who's grew up next to the mother of one of the victims, those cops were a little teed off about the fact that Dianne Feinstein leaked confidential information that put their investigation in jeopardy. I couldn't even imagine. And what do you do? She's the mayor of a major city. What can you even do about it? You can't do anything. These poor cops, they were keeping this stuff, the shoe print, the calibers they were keeping this stuff under wraps, because if he knew that they're tracking the shoe prints, he's going to change his shoes, Dianne Feinstein. He's going to change his stinking shoes.
Los Angeles police thought that the murder of a young woman last March was an isolated act of violence, but since then they've come to believe it was connected to a wide-ranging series of assaults by a killer who's become known as the Night Stalker, a killer who apparently struck again during the weekend. We have a report from Nadine Berger.
Police today continue to search for any clues in the near-fatal shooting of 29-year-old William Carnes and the rape of his girlfriend. They're apparently the latest victims of the Night Stalker, thought to be responsible now for 34 brutal attacks, 14 of them fatal. These serial killings, once confined to the near Los Angeles area, are now spread over 500 miles from San Francisco to Orange County. Just as before, the assailant entered a house in a quiet middle-class neighborhood in the pre-dawn hours on Sunday through an unlocked window and attacked the couple while they slept. Neighbors are terrified.
Guy just sleep with my hand on right by my bed and a sawed-off shotgun, which I always have.
I see. Why is that?
Do you remember when Californians used to be able to have guns? That was, the amount of people I see interviewed who either went out and bought a gun when this was happening or had guns already and are sleeping with them now loaded. It's good. It's good self-protection. You need to stay protected, especially when something like this is going on.
Because if anybody comes in my house, they're not leaving.
The killer, who attacks randomly, is described as white, 25 to 30 years old, with a predominant feature of badly stained teeth. So 5,000 flyers have been distributed to Los Angeles dentists asking for help with identification. And last week, San Francisco Mayor Dianne Feinstein announced ballistic tests have definitely linked the murder of a man there to the Night Stalker. But release of that information has outraged a Los Angeles sheriff frustrated by the difficulty of tracking a random murderer.
It places this community in jeopardy because it impedes our ability to go forward fully with the investigation.
A total of $35,000 in rewards has been offered, including today a $16 donation from this group of concerned school children. Today, the search for California's Night Stalker continues, and many residents sleep with their doors and windows bolted tight, despite 100-degree temperatures. Nadine Berger, CBS.
Yeah. Nadine, thank you very much for that report. I appreciate it. This guy is just terrorizing all of these people. All of these people were victims and more. There's, like she said, there was 34 or something like that. Only 14 died. But not for lack of trying. Not for lack of trying. So the one that we just saw, it was in Mission Viejo, California. It's about 75 miles south of Los Angeles. This was on August 24th, 1985. Ramirez broke into the home of 30-year-old Bill Carnes and his fiancée, 29-year-old Inez, through a back door. Ramirez entered the sleeping couple's bedroom, awakened Carnes when he cocked his .25 caliber handgun. When I read that, I immediately thought of Mr. Zed because I can make the noise. That noise. This noise probably wouldn't wake me up, but I guarantee you that noise would wake up Mr. Zed in an instant. In an instant, it would wake up Mr. Zed. So that's what woke up Mr. Carnes. He shot Carnes 3 times in the head before turning his attention to his fiancée, Inez. He looked at her and said, "I am the Night Stalker." Then he demanded cash and jewelry, made her swear on Satan that there was no more money and jewelry. Before leaving the home, he told Erickson, the fiance, tell them the Night Stalker was here. Erickson untied herself and went to the neighbor's house for help. Surgeons removed 3 bullets from Karn's head, and he survived the injuries. Thank God for that. He survives. Both of these people survived the injuries. Amazing. Police obtained a cast of Ramirez's footprint from the Romero house, and the stolen Toyota was found abandoned on August 28th in Koreatown in Los Angeles. The police obtained a single fingerprint from the rear view mirror despite Ramirez's careful efforts to wipe the car clean of prints. So he stole this car, he used it in these crimes, he adjusted the rear view mirror and forgot to wipe off the very back of the rear view mirror. That's what got him, guys. We got him, guys. We got him. And of course, I told you earlier about his arrest record for the marijuana and the petty crimes or whatever. He's on file. His prints are on file. A single fingerprint from the rear view mirror. The print positively identified as belonging to Ramirez, who was described by police as a 25-year-old drifter from Texas with a long rap sheet that included many arrests for traffic and illegal drug violations. Let's put him back up there. This is his mugshot this is the mugshot that they put out to catch him. This is the one from the petty crimes. The identification of Ramirez's print was described as a near miracle, as the system used to identify him was recently installed. So before this computer program was invented and put to use, they would have to have a suspect to match the fingerprint up with. You couldn't do like you could do today, where you just put the fingerprint in the system and it spits out a name. You couldn't do that back then. It literally had just been invented or just been put to use. Obviously, it probably takes years of getting it together, but it had just been put to use. The fact that the system contained the fingerprints of criminals born after January 6th, 1960, only a month before Ramirez was born. So they had not uploaded all of the prints yet. On August 29th, 1985, law enforcement officials decided to release a mugshot of Ramirez from this 1984, that's this picture here, arrest for auto theft to the media. At the police press conference, it was announced, "We know who you are now, and soon everyone else will. There'll be no place to hide." Amazing, guys. Amazing. All right. We're going to get him right now.
Earlier, the man believed to be the walk-in killer was caught through the efforts of some very alert and very involved citizens. Elizabeth Anderson reports the resident...
Real quick, before we get into this story, when they put out this mugshot, this part of the story I thought was compelling. So I'm going to tell you about it. So the police figure it out. They got the mugshot, right? And they decide to put it out to the media. So it's printed on every single magazine from here to Timbuktu, all over. At this point, it was kind of a maybe not worldwide, but it did go outside because of the one in San Francisco. They didn't know where he was going to go. So at least all of the West Coast had put this information out, right? He goes to visit his brother in Phoenix, Arizona. So he's not even in LA yet. He's in Arizona. He takes a Greyhound bus to Arizona. He gets back from Arizona and he walks into the little newsstand, right, at the bus stop in downtown LA, and it's just like a magazine rack or a newspaper rack with his picture just freaking everywhere. And he's looking around. He's like, crap, what do I do? So he hops on the first bus he could find. Now, keep in mind, police were there staking out because they knew he frequented that bus station, but they were waiting for him to come in, not get off of a bus, because they didn't know he was in Arizona, right? So he walks past all of these cops kind of with his head down. He's got his AC/DC hat or whatever hat he's got on, kind of hiding. He sees the newsstand, like the Hudson News or whatever they had back then, and gets on the first city bus that he could find, right? He is sitting on this bus. He sees somebody with it reading this newspaper and looking at him and looking back down at the newspaper and looking at him. And this guy who does that rings the little ding to get off the bus. And he sees this man get off the bus and go to a payphone and pick up the phone and start dialing 911. This community is amazing, by the way. They all work together to get him. He sees what's going on, sees the guy calling the cops, right? So he jumps off the bus, goes across, I believe it was the 405, but it was a major highway. He crosses because people are now following him. They see who he is, they're following him. He bolts across the expressway or the highway. Like I said, I think it was the 405, which is the major one. It may have been a different one, but it was, I saw they'll show the video coverage here in a second. It's 8 lanes of traffic he darts across, gets into another neighborhood. He tries to steal somebody's car. This guy's laying under his car, fixing his car, and the keys are in the ignition, but the car is off. So this dude's laying under his car doing, whatever he's doing under there, right? And he hears his car start. So he rolls out from underneath his car, grabs the dude, tries to get him out of the car, and Ramirez is like, I have a gun. And this guy's like, I don't care, you have a gun. He grabs him, beats him up a little bit. Ramirez runs away, steals another person's car, and this whole community just tracks him down. Now, people are yelling, coming out of their homes. They're gonna get this guy, and they do get this. So here's the thing. Sorry, I got really excited about this part because I love it when communities get together and fight crime.
Residents of Boyle Heights are very proud of their heroic efforts.
Earlier today, the residents here on Hubbard Street were filled with fear. Not anymore. Now the streets are filled with excitement. That's because the walk-in killer prime suspect was captured on Hubbard Street this morning.
As soon as the word got out, hundreds of curious onlookers drove past the neighborhood. None of them could believe the prime suspect had been arrested in their own backyard.
Manuel de la Torre is being called a hero. He ran to his wife's rescue today when he saw another man hitting his wife while pulling her out of her gold Granada. That's when Torres grabbed a lead pipe and began hitting that man, who eventually turned out to be the prime walk-in killer suspect. De la Torres tells his story as his friend Robert Alvarez translates.
A lot of people think he's a hero. How does he feel about that?
¿Cómo te sientes? ¿Crees que quieres ser héroe? No.
No, not a hero?
No, he doesn't feel like a hero.
De la Torres was protecting his wife Angie de la Torres, who was still filled with fear. Faustino Piñon is another hero in this neighborhood. Earlier today, he chased after the same suspect after he claims Ramirez was trying to steal his red...
Look at the bandages on his head. They got him with that metal pipe. Look at how sad he looks. Look at those dead eyes. Look at those just dead, evil eyes all bandaged up. Don't feel bad for him. He deserved to get hit with a metal. He deserved way worse than that.
...steal his red Mustang. And even though he says he was being threatened with a gun, Piñon fought that suspect anyway.
And then I got him by the neck.
Got him by the neck, and then what?
Then we struggled back and forth for the car. He was going forward and back with the car.
Maria Marijo's face tells her story. She is still filled with shock because it was her daughter, Angie de la Torre, who was accosted in her own car by Ramirez.
She knows her daughter's all right now.
Ahora ya sabe que su hija está bien, ¿verdad? Ay, gracias a Diosito, gracias.
And now Hubbard Street is filled with excitement. The residents here share the feelings of so many others. They say they can walk the streets again. They can sleep safely in their homes at night. And that is welcome news.
Amen.
Elizabeth
sister.
Anderson, Channel 4 News, Boyle Heights.
Isn't that amazing? Amazing story. I love that for them. Um, Erica's asking what was on his head. The paramedics came. He was bleeding profusely from the skull because that dude hit him with a metal pipe, right? Um, and the paramedics came and wrapped him up before they took him to the clink. Okay, so this is a little crazy. So first of all, I want to play a little bit of this video because I found during my research, I found this YouTube channel. He's only got a little over like 5,000 subscribers, but man, it's a good channel. And I'm going to put this link in the chat too. Go subscribe to this guy. He does great, great work. I'm going to just play a little bit of his video just so you guys can see. But he covered Richard Ramirez about a year ago. And I found this little 9-minute video. And this is talking about these women, these high bristophiliac women who, for whatever reason, think this guy with the rotted out teeth and the pockmarks on his face is sexy for some reason because he's a murderer. They did the same thing with Ted Bundy. Like, these women are freaking insane.
He soon moved to California and began cultivating an interest in Satanism. What followed was a spree of brutal rapes, murders, and robberies, leaving dozens of victims in its wake.
Clean up on aisle 5.
Now, Ramirez was good at a lot of things. He was like a jack of all trades when it came to murder. He could stab, slash, shoot, dissect, and cut your eyeballs out in the dark without night vision goggles. But whether it was the devil worship, the extremely poor hygiene, or the fact that he transformed a graveyard into his bachelor pad, he wasn't very good with women.
What a
You don't say.
After the guy was captured and put on trial, women started throwing themselves at him.
Many are begging for his attention and his affection.
Granted, I wouldn't exactly call them prizes.
One is a small-time porno model named Kelly Marquez.
When I went in to visit him, I decided that I was not going to look at all the things he had done.
Yeah, this is definitely one case where you want to look into his criminal history.
Yeah.
Or what do you how about this catch?
So, and I know he killed a lot of people, but I don't really care about that.
Wait, you don't care?
Like, keep in mind, we went over all the facts of this case a little bit ago. He raped children. He murdered 14 people. He tried to murder more. And I don't really care about that. I don't really care about that. I want to play a little bit more of this person's video. Definitely go subscribe to him. I am about to go down a rabbit hole tonight watching all of his videos. They're short, concise, they have levity. It's great. This and the editing. I wish I knew how to edit. All I can do is live stream because I'm not smart. So check this guy out for sure. I'll play a little bit more of it.
That he killed a lot of people? Murdering 14 people is just like a slight character flaw to you?
I don't really care about that.
If being a mass murderer and rapist and devil worshiper isn't a red flag, what is?
I don't care who you are, what you did, as long as you love me.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's get something straight, okay?
So check out, it's called Breakfast Cereal. Let's see what his @ is. It's @Breakfast Cereal, spelled like a serial killer, on YouTube. Check this guy's channel out. He's got all of them. They're short, they're concise, they're fun. If you can call serial killers and other murders fun. I enjoy learning about them, and I do enjoy having some levity with my gore. So check him out. We'll put his link in the chat. I should see if I could contact him and have him on the show. It's a fun channel for sure. Sorry, I got distracted. I found this today, and I was very excited to find another true crime channel that's not so serious. I don't like being so serious, you know? So, to the trial. To the trial. Here's this report that he actually sampled in his video. We'll play this first and then we'll get to the trial. It's just a minute long, minute and a half.
Black. You in the courtroom today.
I just wanted to see what he looked like. I think he's cute.
This woman, who gave her name only as Paige, calls
She thinks he's cute. Did you see his picture?
herself a Satanist. She says Ramirez has written letters to her and that she's talked with him in jail.
Everyone makes him look so bad, but I know that he's a nice person because I've met him, and I know
He's a nice person. Aside from the rape and the murder, he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Of 13 murders.
I know. But he's really a nice guy. It's very out of the usual. It's very out of the norm to be able to do that for a certain amount of time and length, a period of time, and get away with it. Especially the outrageousness of it. The kind of murders that he did. When I went to go visit him,
She was smirking. Did you see her look on her face? She's got a smirk on her face. He's outrageous. Like he got a mohawk or something. It's just outrageous. I love it.
that he did. When I went to go visit him, I asked him, I said, how many other girls visit you? I want to know. And he kind of laughed and said, there's 2, but I already know them, and I've known them for a while, and they're just like acquaintances, and, kind of, make me think that and believe like I was like the only one that he liked that was visiting him.
Their attraction may be difficult to explain, but from Los Angeles to San Francisco, they stalk Ramirez whenever he appears in a courtroom. How do you respond to people who are going to think you're crazy for this?
I'll just say that they just don't understand.
No, we don't.
Chuck Coppola.
We do not understand. I do not understand. I don't get it. I don't. So, hybristophilia is definitely a mental disorder. It is a paraphilia involving sexual interest in and attraction to those who commit crimes. The term is derived from the Greek word hubzerian, meaning to commit an outrage against someone. And filio, meaning having a strong affinity or preference for. Many high-profile criminals, particularly those who've committed atrocious crimes, received fan mail, in quotes, fan mail in prison that is sometimes sexual, and presumably because of this phenomenon, less common in the aggressive types of hybristophilia can occur in men with female serial killers. In some cases, admirers of these criminals have gone on to marry the object of their affection in prison. That's what we're getting to. This dude gets married after he's arrested and commits all these crimes. It's cuckoo. It is absolutely cuckoo. Let's find. I got it out of order here. I got it out of order, guys. Here it is. This woman married him.
Vicky Liviakis has interviewed Doreen Leoy as part of a documentary on the Night Stalker.
There are many who would look at Richard Ramirez in the eye and say, he is the face of evil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yet you look at him and you see the man of your dreams.
Yes.
Who needs glasses here?
I can't help the way the world looks at him. They don't know him the way I do.
And the next day, Doreen walked.
We know him. We've seen pictures of the crime scene, lady. We know him.
Down the aisle, albeit a prison aisle, with her groom. Here's the couple and her response at being the new Mrs. Richard Ramirez.
It feels wonderful.
Ugh.
I'm so happy. I'm so thrilled, very proud, and a little relieved that the bulk of the day is over, and just hopefully I can enjoy the rest of my day in peace with Richard's family and think about the importance of what happened today.
So creepy. So stinking creepy. We'll leave that up on the screen for you guys to see her joy in marrying this guy. All right, so we're on to the trial. Um, Jury selection for Ramirez's trial began on July 22nd, 1988. At his first court appearance, he raised his hand with a pentagram drawn on it and yelled, "Hail Satan." That's the picture that's in the thumbnail. He's got his hand up, and he actually, it said that it's drawn on it, but he ended up getting a tattoo of like a prison tattoo of that on his palm of his hand. On August 3rd, 1988, the Los Angeles Times reported that some jail employees overheard Ramirez planning to shoot the prosecutor with a gun, which he intended to have smuggled into the courtroom. Because of that, a metal detector was installed outside, and intensive searches were conducted on people entering. So, surviving witnesses gave harrowing testimony to their experiencing, identifying Ramirez as the assailant. Remember that 6-year-old girl that was kidnapped? Story about her, they had her do the police lineup. She did not testify in the trial. They decided not to prosecute the child crimes so the children would not have to go through the trial and all of that. So the prosecutor decided, we're just going to do the adult crimes. It's enough here to get the death, the death penalty and all of that. Many times over, many years, many times over, death penalty. So they let the kids stay at home for the trial. But when she was doing the lineup, the police lineup, it was a live lineup, not a photo array. But he was number 2. And the 6-year-old girl was in the room with the mirrored glass or whatever, so he can't see her. And they walk out, and almost immediately she looks at the detective and says, "Should I write the number 2 or should I write the word 2?" Like, either way, honey, we got him. September 20th, 1989, after several days of deliberation, the jury returns with a verdict. Richard Ramirez is found guilty on all counts, including 13 counts of murder, along with numerous counts of attempted murder, sexual assault, and burglary. During the trial, an interesting thing that happened. First of all, they had to call, I think it was like hundreds. I forget the number. I didn't put it in my notes, but to get an unbiased jury, they had to call like every citizen of Los Angeles County in to do the jury duty, because maybe not every, that's overstating it a smidge, but it was hundreds of people to get a 12-person jury, 12 plus several alternates. But it's a good thing they had the alternates, because during the trial, one of the seated jurors was murdered by her ex. They almost called a mistrial because the jury didn't know what had happened. Just this woman just didn't show up one day for court, and the judge had to call off that day's court because she didn't show up. And turns out she was murdered by her ex-husband, in a totally unrelated. But can you imagine being on the jury thinking, "Oh my gosh, this guy is killing us off, so we don't find him guilty." They did not, they explained to the jury that it was unrelated, the other seated jury people, that it was unrelated, and they were able to move on with the trial. He was convicted, like I said, 13 counts of murder, along with all that other stuff. In the sentencing was November 7th, 1989. Richard Ramirez was formally sentenced to death for his crimes. The sentencing hearing marks the culmination of the trial proceedings, bringing a sense of closure to the victims, the family, and the community. After the trial, he obviously, anytime you get the death sentence or a life sentence, you have automatic appeals that go through. So he went through all of those. Everyone's like, nope, you definitely did it, dude. Your DNA is all over the place. Your fingerprints are all over the place. Also, he admitted to a lot of it, And on June 7th, 2013, unfortunately, well, maybe not unfortunately, but God took care of this guy, so the state didn't have to. We'll take a little look on the death row, and then we'll get to the little news article about him being dying in prison.
Where if I didn't give in to them, I would be crushed by them. The horror began in June 1984. Los Angeles was under siege. Death waited in the dark at the hands of a man they called the Night Stalker. After a 14-month reign of terror, he was finally caught. It was only then that his true identity was discovered. His name, Richard Ramirez.
Richard Ramirez's whole trip was to hide in a tree or hide behind a fence and watch his victims at nighttime and wait into the wee hours of the night. And then, while they slept, creep in, like a coward, and kill them.
The Night Stalker killed at least 13.
Like a coward. That was a great little aside he threw in there. Creep on them like a coward.
13 times, 13 people who were awakened in the night to face death. At least 15 others survived his brutal attacks.
I didn't particularly care for people.
In a rare interview.
Who thinks this guy is good looking or sexy? Those women are like clinically insane. I just cannot believe that people would find this guy attractive, especially knowing his history and his personality.
Ramirez refused to discuss his own crimes, but had this to say about serial killers.
A serial killer comes about by circumstances and like a recipe: poverty, drugs, child abuse. These things, contribute to a person.
Blaming everyone and everything but himself. He has zero introspection, zero.
To a person's frustration and anger, and at some point in life, he explodes.
Perhaps for Richard Ramirez, that anger and frustration turned to rage, which he in turn took out on his victims. His killings were so sadistic and brutal that even experienced detectives were shocked.
Well, he took a woman in her 60s and stomped her to death with his foot, leaving an imprint of a shoe on the side of her face. From that.
By the way, this gentleman here, the taller one, is Gilbert, who grew up next to that Angela's mother. These are the two main detectives on this case. They did a great job. The older gentleman here also, there was another famous crime that he ended up solving, the Hillside Strangler case. He was involved in that case as well, and he got those two guys.
To just executing somebody upon walking into a room after he entered a house. He strangled, he used a ligature, he used a tire iron on a young girl, beat her, left her for dead.
Will your anger subside if you had to wipe up your mother's blood? I couldn't finish it. I had to leave my brother to finish that chore.
Why on earth would you have hurt those people? Why did you kill those people?
No comments. No comments. I cannot answer that at this time.
What was Richard's motive?
To kill.
That's it?
To kill. It's as simple as that.
Richard Ramirez was raised in El Paso, Texas, the youngest of 5 children born to hardworking, strict parents. Eddie Milam was Richard's best friend back then and remembers when he began to change into a troublemaker.
I did start seeing something going wrong with Ricky Ramirez. I think what really messed him up was the acid. He would do a lot of acid. The stealing, I noticed the stealing and then started as a peeping Tom and things like that.
Ramirez's passion for burglary earned him the nicknames of Ricky the Thief and...
It sounded like he said Pee-Pee Tom. He started off as a Pee-Pee Tom.
Fingers, but Eddie knew Ramirez had other serious problems when he was fired from a local hotel.
He said he was fired, he was dismissed due to the cause that he had tried to molest 2 little kids that were going up the elevator.
By 18, Ramirez was a high school dropout drifting around California. He stayed in Skid Row hotels, never seemed to work, but always had the money to buy cocaine. Friends say the Richard Ramirez they knew didn't date and wasn't the type to commit such heinous crimes. But convicted murderer Martin Kipp, who befriended Ramirez in prison, says he heard another side of the Night Stalker.
Richard told me he needed to associate gruesome violence with sex in order to be completely satisfied. He also told me that he had to violently fantasize about his victims before he could go away sexually gratified.
They are desires, whereas if I didn't give in to them, I would be crushed by them. I believe in the evil in human nature. This is a wicked world. And in a wicked world, wicked people are born. I'm not going to blame society, my race, or people, or anything. It is up to the individual like myself to keep on knocking on whatever door they want to get into.
Because the victims and the methods of killing were so diverse, many experts felt there was no one Night Stalker. Detectives Carrillo and Salerno disagreed and finally broke the case by matching shoe prints. The subsequent trial turned into one of America's most notorious courtroom dramas, punctuated by continual outbursts from Ramirez.
Who allowed him to wear sunglasses in court as well? The judge should not have allowed that. He wore sunglasses almost the entire time in court, and I don't understand how. Like, I've watched episodes of The People's Court where somebody has some vision issue and is wearing tinted lenses, and the judge is like, do you have a medical excuse for those glasses? If not, you have to take them off. Like, this is a major case. Like, this is like trial was like a year long or something. He was allowed to wear sunglasses. Insane.
In that trial, Ramirez's fascination with Satanism emerged.
As far as Satan is concerned, I believe in a malevolent being. His description eludes me, but I have felt powers that are evil.
After an 8-month trial, Ramirez was convicted of all 13 murders and given multiple death sentences.
I don't care about myself, really. I don't care about what happens to me. I never did.
We can tell that you don't care about yourself by the way that you groom yourself. That's how we can tell you don't care about yourself, dude.
Did really?
That's how we know. We'll put him back up on the screen. All right. We're almost done, guys. I appreciate you hanging in there with me. This is a long one. It was a lot to get through. So Ramirez made incriminating statements both to law enforcement and fellow inmates while in custody. These admissions included details about the crimes that were not publicly known. Although if Diane Feinstein knew him, she would probably tell everybody. This is additional evidence proving his guilt. I've seen while researching this, I've seen whole websites and chat rooms and Reddit, whatever they're called. I don't have Reddit, but I lurk in there sometimes to find stuff out, thinking that he's innocent. They're saying that the police told the people who identified him as number 2 in the lineup that they told him ahead of time. They said that evidence was planted, like all of this stuff. It's insane. But if you come across these websites and you see any of that, just know that Ramirez made incriminating statements to both law enforcement and fellow inmates, and these admissions included details that were not publicly known. So it's not just like other cops that are saying that he said this, it's other inmates as well. Ramirez's behavior, both during the crimes and afterwards, exhibited patterns consistent with those of a serial killer. His sadistic methods, use of terror tactics, and lack of remorse all contributed to this case against him. And like I said, God took care of this one for us. The state didn't have to do it, because we all know in California, if California had their way, they would never put anyone to death anymore. So he would probably still be sitting on death row if it was up to the state of California.
Murder, Richard Ramirez has died. Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, put fear and terror into California residents in the 1980s. He died of liver failure while he was on death row.
I hope it was
Patrick
painful.
Healy covered the Ramirez investigation and his arrest in 1985. Patrick joins us now. He's live in East LA, where Richard Ramirez was ultimately captured. Patrick.
Chuck, Colleen, all of us in LA in the 1980s remember the fear, the sleepless nights. When and where would the Night Stalker strike again? Well, fear did not paralyze this neighborhood. The residents spotted him. They took him down for police. Ramirez vowed vengeance. Instead, his liver gave out. Whether satanic serial killer Richard Ramirez acquired any sense of remorse during his quarter century on San Quentin's death row, now we probably never will know. Dead at 53 of liver failure, Ramirez is remembered for his own description of himself at sentencing as a servant of Lucifer.
I will be avenged. Lucifer dwells within us all.
It's too bad that the death penalty took so long.
Frank Salerno and his partner Gil Carrillo worked tirelessly that summer of 1985 to track down the Night Stalker, who was entering homes under a cloak of darkness, assaulting and killing victims chosen at random, terrorizing the entire metropolitan area. He was convicted of 13 murders.
He had no empathy, no feelings, nothing. He never showed any remorse for what he had done. He wanted to be known as the greatest serial killer that ever lived.
After a fingerprint in a car led to the identification of Ramirez, his mug was...
That's the car, by the way, that I remember I was telling you about the rearview mirror. That's the stolen car where the fingerprint was on this rearview mirror right here.
Of Ramirez, his mug was plastered all over the news while he was on a bus returning from Arizona. Walking in East L.A., he was recognized by residents in the 3700 block of Hubbard Street. They took him down, gave him a good pummeling, and held him for police.
A pummeling.
Arriving moments later...
good pummeling. His head has a cast on it, basically. Good pummeling. Or you could also say they beat him with a metal rod is what actually happened. A good pummeling.
NBC4 News photographer Dino Castro, who will never forget what he saw through his viewfinder.
That's when he looked right at me at the camera, and that's when the hair in the back of my neck stood up because I thought I was looking at evil. It was like, oh, that's him. That's really him.
He asked me, he said, Frank, he said, are you going to attend my execution? I said, yes, I am.
A promise Frank Salerno fully intended to keep had the Night Stalker not died before his date with the executioner. Just a short while ago, we spoke by phone with the Night Stalker's last victim, a man who was partially paralyzed by a shot to the head, now living in North Dakota. Bill Carnes told us when he got this news this morning, I just felt like a big burden was lifted off my shoulders. Live in East LA, where the Night Stalker's rampage ended, Patrick Healy, NBC4 News.
All right, so that's it. That's the story. What do you guys think? I have the link in the chat. If anybody wants to call in, do it now. I'm going to, go over what's going on in the coming weeks. And if somebody wants to jump in here, you're welcome to do so. If not, that's fine too. I know you guys don't like me. It's fine. I get it. I get it, guys. I understand. Xena is showing you her butt. Let's see if we can get her to turn around for this last little segment. Hey, Xena, come over here. Plots. Plots. That's a sit. That's not a plots. Plots. She's going to sit. There she is. Okay, so coming up, first of all, I'd love to know in the chat what you guys think of this story. If you don't want to call in, I get it. Xena does take phone calls if you want to call in. She definitely does. Yes, you can call and talk to Xena. You can call and talk to Xena. She requires cookies for that, though. So, yeah. Oh, somebody gifted a membership. Thank you very much. Erica, thank you very much for gifting a membership. And that membership was received by Society Red. Society Red, join us for our next game night for sure. You're a member now, so you'll be around the next game night. So you guys know, everybody who's a member on my channel or in Rumble, you can be a Rumble member as well. You're welcome to participate in the game night. Let me give Xena these cookies. This is from Erica. Erica loves you very much, Xena. Should I see if she could catch them? Well, I have two for her. We'll see if she can catch one. She ducked from it. Did you guys see that? She ducked. All right. Do a shake. Do a shake with this hand. No, this hand. This. There you go. Thank you very much, Erica. I appreciate it. Coming up next week is St. Patrick's Day. I'm so excited. I have been planning the St. Patrick's Day show for several months now. I found out that Steven, who we're going to listen to a song one more time before we go, that he did. Steven is my music department. He does all of the music for my channel. And he did a little cover of the song Smooth Criminal for this show today. But when you hear the Florida Man song at the end of Crime Land, when you hear Brain Fog at the end of these Overruled episodes, all of that is Steven's original music. So definitely check him out. He'll be, like I said, he'll be on the show next week. If you want to see other episodes with him, he was on for the Sky King episode. He was on for the Leo Frank episode. He has been on for other Crime Land episodes. Thank you very much, Parson, for the super chat of $5. Xena does need a treat. And since we have these little itty bitty mini treats, we're going to give her 2. Let's see if she can catch again. The more we do it, the more she'll get better at it, right? Hey, Xena, ready? She ducks from them. Why does she do that? I don't understand. Do a touch. Do a shake. Do a shake with his hand. There you go. She needs her nails cut for sure. After that, I think I'm going to do Daniel Holtzclaw. Have you heard of this guy? He's a bad cop. Bad cop. Either that or Taylor Wright. These are things that I have in the works. So it depends on where my research leads me. I have several things in the work. Julius Jones is one of them. Taylor Wright is one of them. Daniel Holtzclaw is one of them. So on the 24th, we'll figure out what we're doing that day. The 30th is definitely going to be another Crime Land episode because we will have so many backed up Crime Land tabs. You guys send me the Crime Land tabs. And I'm going to send you a link to my Discord right now. So if you want to send me Crime Land tabs, woo, words are hard. If you want to send me Crime Land tabs, you can do that. How do I do invites on this thing? I did it yesterday. I will figure it out. I will figure it out while I play the Smooth Criminal song one more time from Steven. This time I'm going to try not to talk during it. So we'll play this. In your head, think about all those stories that I just told you and listen to the lyrics this time. Really listen to them.
As he came into the window, it was the sound of a crescendo. He came into her apartment, he left the bloodstains on the carpet. She ran underneath the table, he could see she wasn't able. So she ran into the bedroom, she was struck down, it was her doom. Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Hey Annie, are you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? There's a sign in the window that he struck you, a crescendo, Annie. He came into your apartment, he left the bloodstains on the carpet. Then you ran into the bedroom, you were struck down, it was your doom, Annie. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? You've been hit by, you've been struck by a smooth criminal. So they came into the outway. It was Sunday, what a black day. Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, sounding heartbeats, intimidation. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? There's a sign in the window that he struck you a crescendo, Annie. He came into your apartment, you left the bloodstains on the carpet. You went into the bedroom, you were struck down, it was your doom, Annie. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? You've been struck by a smooth criminal.
Bam! There you have it. Stephen Baker playing Smooth Criminal. We will see you guys next time. My outro song is also by Stephen Baker. It's an original created by him, not for me, but it is for me. It is for me. It's my song. It is my song now. There's nothing he can do about it. It's mine. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. A couple hours left of the weekend. Have a great week. Next week, we will see you on St. Patrick's Day for the Leprechaun stream. All stories about little people committing crimes. Or I think there's some where the little people are victims of crimes, but it is all little people. You can say midgets, you can say dwarfs, you can say whatever you want. But some of them are good people, some of them are bad people, just like cops, right? Some are good, some are bad. All Leprechaun stream next week, 4:30 Eastern time. See you there. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Bye, guys.